Okay, good morning, guys. Okay, so yeah, the stream starting soon screen is still on at the moment, but that's because it was running on the previous video and I can't change it. So it's I've downloaded one of my old streams, which is when I was sculpting the Ghouls, and I'm just running that for you in the background while I'm working on a sculpt that I'm not allowed to show you. So I've got to get these sculpts done. Yeah, just working on these today, and I'm live in the chat, so I'll be shinwagging and chatting as normal. Also, can't chat through what I'm actually working on because you can't see it anyway. So it's pointless, but hope everybody's doing well today. You've all had a good weekend. Switch over to multi-stream. Okay. You'll obviously hear me sculpting, so if you've got any questions about what's going on screen, feel free to ask. Here we go. So there's a set of 5 Ghouls I did previously, so these ones were already available. So they're part of my Descent into Avernus set. The reason I picked the Ghouls sculpt is actually this week I'll be working on some more Ghouls for the Descent into Avernus campaign. So we're in chapter 2 in Elturel at the moment, and we're working through all the encounters. I'm just working through there's a little section in there called Encounters in Elturel. So these are things that they're not actually part of the story, but they are, what do we call it now? Like kind of optional encounters, things that the DM's going to use to bulk out the goings on, keep the party entertained. So the first of them will be, we've got a group of ghasts, so 4 ghasts with cloaks, who are basically harassing a little girl. So the players will have to go in and tackle the ghasts and rescue the little girl, basically. And to be honest, it's a nice little encounter pack if you want to use it anywhere. Doesn't have to just be for the Descent into Avernus campaign. So so here on screen you see me sculpting the loincloths for the Ghoul. So the Ghouls were sculpted on a previous stream. There's 5 of them here. I think I went on to do like 10 of them in total. 8 of them. So in this stream, I think, if I remember right, I do 2 female Ghouls. One of them ripping apart a body on a gravestone, like leaning up against a gravestone. And another, what was the one doing? Just running, I think. So we have the 5 default ones, and then we have another, sorry, two female ones and then 1 more male one. And there was a slight issue with one of the male ones. So one of them who is like, you know, kind of a crouching position with his hand reaching forward, like on a rock. I did have to go back and redress that to tighten up his pose a bit, because normally I've got a 25mm base in the screen, which is what I use on all my models. So if you buy any models off me, you get them packaged with the 25mm round base. And typically I've got that base in the screen, in the scene already, so you obviously can see you can see the guy, kind of make sure he fits in the base. But I fluffed it and I didn't have the base visible when I sculpted him, when I posed him. And he overshot quite significantly, and actually to fit he needed a 40mm base. So that just looked ridiculous. You know, just a a general pleb ghoul, sat on a 40mm base, looking like he's some kind of like badass wannabe. So I had to redo his pose and just pull his arm in, just tighten up the whole thing really, just to kind of make sure that he fitted where he needed to fit. Right, so today I should be on stream till about 2 o'clock-ish, give or take. Okay, so if you're watching this now, you just see me doing more of the loincloths on these ghouls. This guy actually with the rock in his hand that I'm sculpting on now, he's the one who I managed to screw up the pose on. So if you missed it before, basically what I realised was I hadn't actually got my my base visible in the scene. So there's a 25mm diameter base that's normally in that scene, and it wasn't there, as you can see. So as I was doing all the posing on this guy, I'd completely neglected the parameters of the base. So when I printed him, basically the only way he was going to fit on a base at all is if it was like a 40mm base. Which obviously you'd normally reserve that kind of thing for like larger creatures, or you know, characters who you want to make a statement about, maybe like display pieces and things like that, but certainly not your kind of, you know, your everyday bog standard ghoul. So there's a little bit of an error there, but I corrected it before the final files went out, and I don't think I even kept my print of him, but yeah, there's probably none of that version of him in existence now. I don't think the files made it public. Could be wrong. I might have put them public and then changed it afterwards, but normally what I do is I print them, check them to make sure they're printed okay, and then I'll put all the files live. So if I checked him before sticking him to a base, then I might have said, yeah, that's good, let's go for it. This is my kind of hack old school way of sculpting rope. Literally strand by strand, carve all of the grooves into it, and then go back over it and just use the inflate tool just to blow up some of the, just to give it some better shape. Obviously this works particularly well if you don't see the back of it, so it's like a rope belt or something like that. If you're going to see the whole rope, you've got to be a little bit more cautious about the texture, because obviously it's got to wrap around and kind of go all the way. That's Max messaging me. Oh, now what Max has just sent me is some potential concept art for the Crystal Collapse box art. Morning, Martin. Hope you're doing well, mate. If anybody wants to see the cover arts that Max has sent me just, they're on our Discord channel. So do feel free to go and have a little mooch. Have a little look. Feeling like this was a bit of a silly mistake on my part. The choice of drink today. So after staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching, what do we call it? Breaking Bad. The kids woke us up at 6. I've got about 3 hours sleep. I am lagging. I feel like I'm probably running on empty. And for whatever reason, my first choice of drink for the day was a lemon tea. Totally should have been a super strong coffee. Jesus, Elston. I don't need to save it, mate. Well, I do actually. Stuff you're watching on screen's not live at the moment. The Ghouls are a past sculpt. So I'm working on some client work in the background. So you can't actually see what I'm doing. Not right now, not live. So a little bit of sneakiness for me. How are you doing today, mate? You doing well? Yes, mate, totally. It's been dead quiet on the stream. Nobody's been speaking or chatting or anything yet, so it's just been me on my own for the last half an hour or more. So I was beginning to think no one was going to show up, and then you do, and you enter with style as always. What have you been up to now, mate? I was saying I put the Ghouls up on screen, by the way, because the plan is more Ghouls as the next thing. So there will be another. There will be another set of Ghouls coming this month, but they're like encounter ones. So they're more character-y, I suppose. So there'll be 4 ghasts with cloaks, and they're going to be haranguing a little girl. And then we've got who else was it now? We have another another ghoul who was like when he was alive he was a rogue, and he's still wearing like all the rogue's gear, but obviously he's now turned into a ghoul, so we're gonna have the ghoul with like rogue gear on. I've got the list of them somewhere. I think they're on my phone. Yeah, just busy, mate. Just busy. I'm trying to put the nail in a load of commission work at the moment, so I'm conscious I'm lagging a bit behind on the Patreon sculpts for this month, so I'll be starting on them soon. Right, so we've got the 4-cloak gas and a young girl. We've got a ghoul who used to be a rogue wearing all the roguish gear. Then we're going to be doing a mother who's a commoner. There's nothing special about her, but she's got a long bow and she's got 2 little boy toddlers who are twins. So there's her to do. A halfling baker and an imp with a scroll, but the halfling baker also has like a wife and 2 or 3 children, I think. So I've got like a little bunch of them to do. So there'll be a couple of like proper, townsfolk NPCs going on. Then we've got some dwarf masons, so shield dwarf commoners, but they are, if I remember right, they are masons, I think. Yeah, masons and a cleric. And then there's a blacksmith, but also an incubus as well. So yeah, so we're getting all the kind of townsfolk kind of characters in. So it'll be excuse me. It'll be a different month for me. But at least there's not like loads of weaponry and stuff like that to work through. That's the kind of thing I feel like usually takes a long time when you start doing loads of armours and stuff. So I think making a bunch of like civilian characters in a week is achievable. So I can do that. But I've been looking at my website as well, and I'm regretting some of my choices on the website. There's certain things I just think I definitely need to change. Well, one of the things I've done on the website, which is where I think I've made a mistake, when you go on there now, you've got an awful lot of products on there, and products are based into different groups. So we've got the groups for STLs, we've got the groups for resins, and then there's all the other ones. And I think some of my discount codes aren't working unless you specifically buy something from a group. So there's one where there's a discount code on there where you get the free model, and most of the time I'm having to manually add the free model to the order when the order goes over £40, but it should be automatically added. And the only thing I can think of is the trigger in the back side of the website is that the purchases have to be made from the resin group, the resin product group. So if they find the models through a different route and they're not specifically clicking into that group, I don't know if it's properly triggering it. Could be another failure on the website somewhere that's stopping it from happening, and I'm not unsure about. But yeah, at the moment it's just a bit of a weird one, and I can't really figure that out. But the other thing I've noticed as well is there's just so many products on there. So every time we load a product up, we're having to like load 2 products because we're doing the standard version of the file in like that's going to be done in resin, and then we're doing the STL version at the same time. And obviously the problem we have with that is that everything then ends up on the website twice, and it's very easy for people to make the mistake. And we've had quite a few people where they've come on site and they've bought stuff, and I've noticed that there's been a mixture of both STL files and resin models on the order, and I obviously have to, you know, question that and ask them, you know, do you realise you've done this? Did you mean to do it, or was it an accident? You know, because I think a lot of the time people want a bargain, don't they? And if there's two models on the website that appear to be identical, and one of them's cheaper than the other, they're going to want to go for the cheaper one, aren't they? And I think this is what's happening sometimes. We've got people kind of buying the cheaper models, and then not realising what they've bought is an STL file. So I think what I want to do is I want to combine the files at some point. I know it's easy to do. I want to combine the... No, I actually want everything into one place. But with product variants, I think is probably the better way of me doing it. So what we'll end up having is you'll go to the Ghouls, for example, and instead of finding Ghouls as an STL file and Ghouls as a resin file, you'll just find Ghouls generically. They'll be on there once, but then when you come to add it to your basket, it'll say, do you want digital files only, or do you want physical files, physical product? And I think that it'll make the whole add to basket thing a little bit trickier, but I think overall it should help to kind of like make the whole thing a little bit more streamlined, hopefully. But obviously the problem is like I'm very time poor at the moment, so trying to do anything is going to require a bit of a time investment on my part to sit down to actually do the things, and that's the bit I'm going to really struggle with. But equally, sales are down massively across the board. Yeah, I mean, I did contemplate putting a little like a label or something on each of the images, but then that means like doubling up the images on the website, which obviously isn't ideal. Like I say, unfortunately, there's not a huge amount of, you know, there's no real right answer for it. It's just we've got to try and find a solution that's going to work for us. But yeah, like I say, ideally, I'd like to just get somebody to cast an eye over it and kind of get some feedback from them. I might ask Andy to have a look at it for me, to be honest, but it's just the you know, in the ideal world I'd be paying somebody to do this kind of stuff, but because like sales are down across everything at the moment, we're not doing too bad on My Mini Factory this week because the My Mini Factory like summer sales gone live. But the problem is nobody's bought anything for the last 2 bloody months because they've been waiting for the sale. So, you know, the sale's all good, but it's killing me at the moment. Everybody knows it's coming up, don't they? So nobody wants to get in and buy anything for fear of finding it cheaper in a week. And the problem is, I think the extra sales we're making at the moment aren't gonna quite make up the shortfall from the last couple of months. Mate, if you've got a big order coming in, it's more than welcome. How are you finding paydays going now as you're on your Todd to spend your own money? your money going faster because it's all going on hobby stuff. I'll tell you, I wish I could talk to you guys about what I'm actually making here, because it's so bizarre. It is not my usual bag of tricks at all. I say it's bizarre. It's actually complete genius. But I say it's not mine, so I can't claim the credit for that. But come Christmas, I think this is going to be this is one of these things that's going to be on everybody's kind of shopping list. It's only a novelty thing. It's not like, you know, it's not earth shattering, but it'll definitely like. I'd say it's probably closer to an actual toy. Oh, it depends, mate. Do you want something big to paint, or do you want units of things, or? If you haven't already backed my Kickstarter, you can jump on that one as well. We've got the Privateer up at the moment, so she's an absolute beauty. Just running a low-key quiet campaign on that one in the background. I've just put Lulu the Holophant up on the website. So, in fact I haven't, I'm telling you lies. Lulu didn't make it onto the website yet. Oh, she might have done actually. Let me just have a little check. Mate, if you're flush and you want to buy everything, I'll happily supply it. I'll start getting some stock prep for Chilcon while it's quiet, actually. Right, let's see. So best-selling miniatures so far. We've got Baldrius the Cambion. We've got the Infernal Paladin, King Garmund of Talarius. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that one. I've not done a Derby one before. The last time I signed up for a Derby one, I think it got cancelled because of COVID. So it'd be nice to kind of see it going on, really. But yeah, let me just switch the website out a sec. It's a bit closer, it's not that much, mate. About 20 minutes, half hour or something like that. But yeah, it is nearer for me, but it's negligible. I've still got to do a significant drive to get up there. There we go. So Lucky Dips as ever are popular. We've got Altair Fask. If you're a Descent into Avernus player, that's Fallister Fisk, by the way. We've got, and then Fabius Creed is Fabius Creed. So the High Overseer of Alteron. We've got the Van Thamper family. We've got Slobber Chops, Tarina the Informer. So there's a few good characters in there. We've got Ifrit, obviously. I know you've got him already, haven't you? The Spine Devils, they're a small set of models. They're kind of goblin sized. And I've got photographs. I've got painted models of so many of these sitting around now. I need to actually just pull my finger out and photograph. And I'm gonna start switching out some of these product images for actual photos of the models. Because as nice as the renders are, you're looking at a wall of grey, and I think colour is going to sell better. But then I'm going to have this really annoying thing where I'm going to have inconsistencies where the stuff I haven't got painted, and then the stuff that I have got painted, and the stuff that I haven't got painted, that's going to be the stuff. Oh, you arsebag! Can I fast forward that now? Can I fast forward it? Oh, I've got all the judges' photos, mate. They're going to be going in there straight up. Oh, this is annoying me now. I need to know. How do I nudge? How do I? Can I fast forward a media file? Yeah, the problem with Judge Gudge is, as awesome as his stuff is, he paints models that he wants to paint, which I'm really pleased that he's chosen so many of mine to actually work for and do. But equally, like, I've got a couple then of models. I've got a load of models that are painted by me to, you know, a decent standard, but then Judge's stuff just like knocks it out of the park on top of my stuff. So I'll have a couple of like real standout ones. I mean, they're great for like, you know, proper showcasing the products and stuff. So I've accidentally rewound the whole stream now. Well, Elson, actually, do you know, I was going to ask you, mate. The let me just see if I change my stream again. If I turn back to that one, if it comes back, yeah, right, it resumes where it was now. It might screw up on the thing. We need some people to have a little look at the Crystal Collapse game for us. So the game is done. The game's ready. We've got to do the conversion into English now from German. So I'm just waiting on Max to do the first pass on that, so I can then do a second pass and just, well, we'll get Haley to do it, but we'll do the second pass and we'll make sure it translates into English and then reads correctly as it, you know, as it should do. Got a couple of models left to make for it as well, but we need people to be doing some reviews. Now, I noticed Bunker on his YouTube channel has been doing like battle reports for Warhammer, so I'm going to go have a little chat with Bunker and see if he's available and up for it to give me a bit of a hand. Like showcasing stuff, and then we've also got like I need some models to be kind of like showcased and painted. Now I don't know if your kind of bag of tricks would include having a look at the game and having a bit of a review on it. But at the very minimum, I would love for you to have a little look at some of the models and see if you might be able to kind of do a little bit of a feature on them. Well, yeah, I didn't know he did. I went online, and I found I was looking for. I know he's got a Twitch channel and stuff, but I found him on. I was looking for YouTubers basically. I was having a chat to Max and Fabian about the game. We were talking about obviously needing to get some English speaking YouTubers. They've got a few German ones on that they can kind of refer stuff to. But we need some kind of like wargaming UK based ones or English ones. So I went through a couple of ones I know. So there's like yourself, there's Pickle, and then I googled Bunker on there because I thought I didn't even think he had a YouTube channel if I'm honest. But there's about a dozen battle reports that he's filmed and put up on there, but they're all within the last few months. So it must be something he started up recently that he hasn't said a lot about. But I'm like, yeah, let's get Bunker on it. Let's get him. He's got more bloody YouTube followers than I have, and he doesn't do anything on there. So, might start doing a couple of generic painting videos. Just put them up on the site. So, MS Paints. Nice. Does he charge for the stuff, or does he do it because he loves doing it? Just need to know from a budgeting point of view, but. If you can ping if you know him, mate, if you can ping him a message and get him to hit me up and stuff, I can square him up with some stuff. So I showed you you've seen the models that we're looking at, aren't you? They're like 40mm scale, so they're shatter point size. Yeah, get him to message me and let me know what kind of price we're talking at for content, because if he's got a decent amount of followers as well, then it's worth kind of, you know, it's worth paying for it and kind of to get a little bit of stuff done. But yeah, we just need eyes on the game now, I think. So as much as we've got like the Max has had a great idea. He's been making like the oh wow, that's worthwhile then, isn't it? But yeah, the Max has been making the like foam terrains. He's got like a laser cutter and stuff. He's on about producing it, so it'll be sold as like 40mm blocks that you can kind of like glue together and carve up and texture up and stuff. Because we want to try and what we want to do. We want to not just make this as like a board game offering. We want to try and encourage people to do a little bit of like, you know, a bit of craft stuff and get involved in like the hobby side of things. So if we can do that by saying to the guys, well, you know, let's do some terrain crafting projects together. You know, we want you guys to be doing a little bit of, you know, whatever it is. Come and do, you know, come and do X, Y, and Z, and we can, you know, we can help you. We'll provide you with some stock content and stuff, so we can give you like STL, well not STL files, but we'll give you like files of you know, accessories, a bit like you know the way they did Mordheim when they had like the windows and the corner buttresses and things like that. So we can provide certain bits of content that they can use. And then everything else they can everything else they can just kind of make themselves and add the kind of the detailed content to it. So I think it'd be quite good. I really want to kind of get that engagement going on. Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm always about, mate. I'll say if you I'm sure he's posted it already. If you go onto our let me just switch stream a sec. I'm just going to bring it over onto where was it now? live sculpting, no webcam. So we go onto our thing here. We go into like crystal collapse discussion, I think it is. Oh, so here we go. This is what he's made. So he's done this with like the foam blocks, and I think he's just used a wire cutter for these. But he's got the laser cutter, so his plan is to basically, he's made these up with his laser cutter. He's made up these blocks, and the plan is obviously we can use these blocks and you can stack them and you can place them in, and they give you the elevations you need in the game. The building is made as well, because this is what Max, one of the things Max does. He does like laser terrain and stuff. But the idea being, you use the XPS foam, and it's like, you know, it's 25mm kind of heights. They're two of the models. That's Corrado and Joshua. So you plant the models on there. The first level of terrain comes up to about halfway up the guy, and then the second level comes up to, you know, his the second level comes up to the top of him, whatever. Let's just pop that up. Just make sure nothing runs on it. Oh, nice, yeah. Let's give him a sub. Cheers, Elson. But yeah, so like he's got that, and we're talking about, like, obviously we're going to use, like, you know, texture rollers, like the kind of Green Stuff World ones. Maybe I'll make my own set of STL file ones that you can use for like proper custom template for like rock surface textures and stuff, and like the bricks maybe as well. So the idea being, we'll sell you a bag of these that you can use to make a certain level of certain volume of terrain, because it's 13 squares by like 8 squares or 9 squares or something like that is the board size, like A2 sized. So we give you a play map for the base, and then you need, like, really you want, like, I think it was 2 large elevated areas with different elevations on it to kind of get the most out of the game, and then several pieces of terrain and stuff that will block line of sight and kind of, you know, there's none of them on here because obviously this is just the terrain board build up, but yeah, he's done a really nice job on it, Max, so far. I'm really pleased with the way it's like shaping up. But this will just be a nice one for us to be able to kind of like showcase the whole thing and show it all off a little bit. And then today we're looking at this one as like the template for the cover art. So we're gonna have all the characters stacked up and have Ifrit and Bamut at the back, like they're having a bit of a scrap. That strong coffee is what I needed, man. Well, there's a little bit of there's our Ifrit coming together nicely. Very, very pleased about him, as you can imagine. A couple of sketches of Shiva going on. Yeah, we're really close to the to being able to push this live. So the plan is the guys are going to be doing Essen. So they're going to get Max's tabletop, the models and everything else. They're going to get all of that lot on the table at Essen. Start showcasing it and showing it off. We've actually built the base of the Kickstarter page already. So there you go. There's the Naggled model. A couple of the shots of Tabletop Simulator. So this is how we'll be doing the beta testing. So if anybody wants in on the beta testing, we've got the Tabletop Simulator set. So all of this you can we can package up for you. You can download it all and then just use the rules as a reference then, so you know what you're doing. But if you're interested, jump in the chat for the Crystal Collapse on the there's a Crystal Collapse updates, but there's Crystal Collapse discussion. You can't post in the updates one. Only me and Max can. Actually, you probably can, Elson, because I think I've got you set up as admin on here. But yeah, the Crystal Collapse discussion is definitely the place to go and have a little chinwag chat about it and ask any questions, make any suggestions, or whatever. Do you know what? I'll be showing it at Chilcon anyway, mate. So I'll have it on the table at the very minimum. So we want to try and get the build up going. So we'll have the Kickstarter launched in October. Whether or not we'll have it completely fulfilled by ChillCon, I don't know. But if I can possibly do it, I'll have some on the table to sell when we're there. Oh, legend, mate! Cheers, dude. Yeah, we'll definitely need some space, but yeah, I'll see if I can get some volunteers to come around and do a couple of like demos and stuff to help it along. It might even be that Max may actually come over for it as well. So, you know, if my crazy German friend is able to jump a plane and get over, then we'll have him doing the demos, because the man is like bursting with enthusiasm. I can't think of anyone better to actually do the demos than him, to be fair. So, he is as mad as a box of frogs, but oops, can't show you that. Yeah, mad as a box of frogs, but you know, he's good at it, man. Yeah, if you can do an intro with Dave for us, though, mate, that'd be really handy, because I say we don't have I don't know him personally, so like obviously contacting him out of the blue, I don't want him to just kind of go, oh, it's another one of these dickheads. Go away, stop bothering me. So if you can give us a little bit of a hand there to kind of get that initial intro made, then that'd be cool. And then what I might be able to do as well, and I don't know, we won't be able to do it at Essen, I don't think, but we may have a little look and see if we can get like a convention exclusive mini made for Crystal Collapse. So if we do, we'll have that available at ChillCon, obviously, because as you know, it's my favourite show. UK Games Expo is good, but it's just too busy, man. Yeah, who doesn't love an exclusive? I like UK Games Expo, but my problem with it lately is like they get 50,000 people through the door, 40,000 people through the door, and of those 50,000 people, the majority of them are there for like board games and card games and stuff. So even though you've got a massive audience, a lot of the audience isn't necessarily what we, interested in, like our products. And that's obviously always a little bit of a headache, isn't it? You want the customers who are there to be interested. And with ChillCon, everybody comes around. They all love the miniatures. Do you know what I mean? And it's the right market, and that's what we want. I just wish there was more shows like ChillCon though, because there's, well, I'm saying more shows like ChillCon by me. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. So you go from a school to an actual purpose-built location, a purpose-built kind of event hall or whatever. It's going to be crazy, isn't it? But then again, like I said, I was saying to Steve the other day, like ChillCon, not ChillCon, sorry, UK Games Expo, that started out in a hotel in Edgbaston. So, like across the road from Spearmint Rhino on the Hagley Road, I think it was. So that's kind of got form for kind of growing massive, and that was 2011, I think that one was. Gee, 10 grand. I suppose it's all right if you've got the money in the bank from the previous shows and stuff like that. But well, hopefully Steve will sell enough spuds and enough of the spud minis to kind of help front the cost. Yeah, someone with a bit of money. Well, mate, if we make it big on Crystal Collapse, I'll invest. I'll put some dollars in. big if, isn't it? You know what I mean? But do you do you don't do show sponsors and stuff, do you, for ChillCon? You know, like UK Games Expo, they have like the different levels of sponsorship available. Yeah, but you say that, but then the change of venue, going to a larger venue, that generally brings bigger audiences, doesn't it? Makes it a little bit more mainstream and things, and then the yeah, I get you, man. Yeah, they're paying in product rather than in cash. He needs to make sure he's charging the food vendors this year as well, because I think the food vendors getting a free pass on the stall is what's prompting them to kind of drop out. You know, they haven't invested in it, they can't be asked to turn up, and there's no loss on their part, is there? But obviously it makes them look bad then when the food trucks don't rock up. Although after the last couple of years of food fiascos, I think any of the food trucks should be kind of like chomping at the bit for it, because that chip guy who was there last year, he made a killing, didn't he? He like completely sold out of product within about an hour or two of starting to sell. Had to leave, but oh, he had the best day, he did, dude. He must have gone home and just like thrown cash all over the place and just had a little bit of a roll around in it on that day. I sent her out to get some food at one point. Well, I sent her out. She volunteered and decided she was going to go out because she wanted just a leg stretch and a bit of fresh air. And she went out there and he basically sold out of everything apart from just chips. So I think she went to get some like pulled pork ones or something like that. I was really hoping for I sent her out looking for the Korean barbecue, because I thought they were there, but they never showed up, did they? Should bugger. I was quite fancying the idea of a Korean barbecue. But bring a sausage roll. Well, we went to Aldi the night before, just round the corner, and when we did our Aldi shop, we were like, let's get loads of like crisps and snacky stuff. So we were kind of well stocked for it, to be honest. But by the time we got to the end, you know when you do that kind of shopping, but you end up like you haven't got a fridge or anything like that, so you can't. You know, we haven't bought a cool bag, we haven't got a fridge. You're kind of limited to what you've got. Most of what we ended up having were like bloody sweets of some kind or biscuits. So you end up getting to the end of the day with a banging headache because you've got like a sugar rush going on. Elson, what you want to do is instead of bringing a spare sausage roll, you want to go to the. Do you have a Greg's outlet near there? Here's an idea for you, actually. So the school fair at my kids' school, the Christmas fair, when they did, summer fair, when they ran that. They decided that they were going to go and get, they were going to go and raid the local Greg's outlet shop, and the local Greg's outlet sells like your donuts and your sausage rolls and everything else for like ridiculous prices, like proper cheap. And they just bought a ton load of stuff in, and then they bought it into the canteen at the school, and they were selling all of like reselling all of like the Greg's stuff at a markup. So they raised money for the school, selling Greg's stuff, and I say they made quite a lot, if I remember right. I can't remember exactly what they made, but I know it was a lot more than you'd think they would have made. But yeah, if there's a Greg's outlet, you've got the option there to do that, haven't you? So. And you know, if you buy 100 sausage rolls and take that into Chilcon, you're going to sell 100 sausage rolls, aren't you? What I have to do is have a little gander online. There you go, you've got a Greg's. Oh, it's not a Greg's like that. So there's one in Leeds, there's one in Birmingham, there's one just down the road from us basically, which one they used. There's one in the Barnsley Road in Sheffield, mate. So Barnsley Road, Sheffield. They've got the Greg's outlet. So for the Sheffield one, that's where they need to be going for backup catering. Can't see any around. Bloody hell, I've got 3 of them in Glasgow. Sorry, 5 of them in Glasgow. It's a bit heavy-handed, isn't it? Glaswegians must love a Greg's sausage roll. More than Elston. Yeah, I'm not seeing one in the Derby area, sadly, so it might have to be a Sheffield exclusive if you're going to do that, dude. Oh, here's a random one for you, Alston. I don't know if you know or not. Is Luke going to be there this time round? He's kind of thrown in the towel, hasn't he, on the whole YouTubing thing? I don't even know if is he still doing Geek Gaming Scenics, or has he backed out of all of that and got himself a kind of a normal job, if you like, for lack of a better word. Does he still hobby and stuff then, or does he? I thought he was doing spectacularly well with all the whole Geek Gaming Scenics thing. I thought that was something to kind of stick to and keep running, really, but. But then again, I suppose he's made his money out of it now, hasn't he? He can wind it back a little bit and not have to worry so much about the stresses of it all. Honestly, man, I wish I could tell you guys what I was doing, because this is... it feels crazy to me doing this. Mr. Bunker, welcome. How you doing, mate? You been about all the time, or you just rocking in? Thanks, dude. Bunker, I was saying to Elston earlier, I found a YouTube channel of yours earlier. Well, earlier, the other day when I was on a meeting with Max and Fabian at Woodpecker Games, and I came across a YouTube channel where you've been running some battle reports, but it looks like they're quite recent ones. How did I not know you were doing that? Have I not been paying attention, or are you keeping it hushed? It's not you. Are you sure? It's Bunker Gaming, spelled exactly how you spell it. I'm not sure it was your voice in the videos. Doing battle reports. Definitely not you. You got a pretender, mate? Oh yeah, now that I look at it again, I think the logo's different and stuff, but nah, this is like Bunker Gaming 7056. It's a bunch of battle reports about the old world. But I thought you might have been secretly building back up some fantasy content ready for the drop. I like your description there, mate. Welcome to the bunker, where I'll be streaming, flexing my non-existent skills, moaning and grumpy painting skills. I'm an older gen with a bad mouth. Subscribe if you dare. Love it, man. Yeah, see, I haven't played 40k since God, going back to oh, it looks like I had a crash on stream on that one. That's not a normal thing at all, is it? See, I've never applied for live streaming. I literally went onto Streamlabs and I just set it up. There was no application or anything there. It was just kind of like, go. Job's a good one. And I didn't even have any like prior content or anything like that. Noobs, how you doing? Rocking up as I'm sculpting ghoulish boobies. Now, if you're good on one platform, stick on one platform. You don't want to be spreading yourself too thin. The only reason I do it is because it's more about accountability for me, like I say, and I don't really care about building the audience. You know, I don't think for a minute at any point I'm going to start generating revenue out of any platform streaming. But it's nice to be able to kind of have like recorded content, have the sculpts kind of recorded, and then obviously the what do we call it? Oops. What are they called now? Losing my marbles here. The sales leads kind of thing. So using it as a... do you know what? No, I still want to do the TikTok thing. I still want to put videos on TikTok, and I still want to do like the Instagram shorts and YouTube shorts. But it's literally time. Time is my enemy. You know when you feel pressured, like you need to do stuff. I feel like I need to be doing it. But the problem I have is like every time I've tried to make a video for TikTok or Instagram or whatever else, you obviously have to go into portrait format, and nothing I do is in portrait format. So it's all everything ends up having to be kind of like redone and designed especially for it. It's just a pain in the arse. How you doing anyway, noobs? Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to notice as well, when I was looking at that bunker channel, what I noticed is like they've literally got 6 videos. That's all the content they've got, and it's been running for, it looks like it's been about 9 to 10 months or something like that. So they've been running less time than I've been streaming, or maybe about the same time, is it? I ain't sure, but But yeah, long and short of it is, they've got a lot more subscribers in a very short space of time than I've got doing doing actual video content. So it makes me wonder if I'm better off like doing the sculpts and editing them into videos and loading the videos onto the YouTube channel rather than actually trying to like just keep it as streaming. I mean, it's nice for the engagement on, you know, having you guys here to chat to on the stream. That's always nice. Well, that is the thing, isn't it? I watched a Mr. Beast video the other day, and he was talking about editing, and he was saying like one of his videos, he hired multiple editors, and to get the video to its final edit was like 1,700 man hours. And you know, you kind of go, that is like a sink I do not even want to even think about. That's just mental, that is. So maybe I do it when I'm loaded and I can afford to just pay an editor. I say when because I'm being optimistic. Whoops. Well, my plan for getting loaded was never about. It was about making games and models and stuff rather than video content. The video content is completely a secondary thing for me. So if I can get the money through other means, I can apply it to what I'm doing here, and kind of get some additional benefit from it. But I'm going to be honest, the YouTube thing annoys the hell out of me at the moment. I see so many kind of like low quality content. It's and you know, when it's like you can tell everybody's trying to copy a kind of a template. The Mr. Beast copycats are like really annoying, particularly. And they're walking around like, you know, oh, you know, hey homeless dude, here's $500. It's like Mr. Beast there throwing out 10 grand. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh mate, the content's dire. And Willow wants to sit and watch it all the time, and like, she watches the YouTube Kids, and even YouTube Kids is full of absolutely dire content. Like, absolute zero production value in anything, and like people are just throwing out any old shit to try and get views, and it's just like, the stuff that they do, it's just like, just no, man, just no. And I don't want the kid, like, have you seen the channel Ninja Kids? Because I've blocked that and I've banned it, absolutely banned it, because they have the parents running around like idiots, and they're doing all these like stupid challenges, and it's like, oh, $100 to whoever does this. And it's like, you know, they're like throwing like, you know, wads of cash at the kids to do stupid challenges and stuff. And it's like, I don't even want to set a precedent for that, man. You know what I mean? My kids start thinking they can make YouTube videos like that. They're going to turn around to us and they're going to want like cash subs for doing like ridiculous like things, and then they start doing stupid pranks and whatever. mate, you've never seen it. You need to watch the channel and see what I'm talking about, because honest to God, watch it for like 10 seconds and then block it and dislike all the videos. But this is the perils of parenting. This is the crap the kids get subjected to. And what really racks me off is it's YouTube Kids. Like, just because somebody says the video is for a kid doesn't mean the video is for a kid. And my major beef is that there is so much content there that is really not child friendly or child appropriate that is popping up on YouTube Kids. And like, you have to mark on YouTube that your video, your content is made for kids when you load the videos up. Which means that they are, but then nobody's checking that. And there's no report button to say, you know, the Johnny Yes Papa thing, mate. That's like burned into my brain. That thing is. But some of the weird crap my kids have listened to over the years is just like Jacob got obsessed with bloody zombies when he was about 3. And he was just watching Halloween videos all the time. He just wanted Halloween stuff. And there was this video that he kept watching. It was called the Zombie Principle. Run Schoolies Run. It's the Zombie Principle, and it was just, it made no sense. The video was bizarre. Like, really, you know when it's that real piss poor animation that's like somebody's knocked it up in kind of a 3D thing, but there's no proper rendering. They haven't bothered to like animate like the faces and stuff like that, so everything's really kind of wooden and it's just really bad. And they'll watch all of that kind of stuff. And then Willow will watch like you know, there'll be like a load of Indian voices telling the tale of like Frozen or The Little Mermaid or something else, and they're basically doing a proper knockoff of the Disney original. I say the Disney original, the actual Disney version of it, not the. They're not doing just the generic fairy tale. They're doing the actual Disney version. So they've got the characters from the Disney version and the storyline from the Disney version, and then they've got these bloody awful animated characters on screen that kind of look like them but not. And then everything's being told with like really strong Indian accents. And she'll sit there and watch that, and she knows the plot lines of all of these Disney films that she's never watched. And she won't watch the actual high budget Disney ones when you try and sit her down to watch them. And I'm like, why would you rather watch something that somebody's made in a basement, you know, for like virtually zero budget? And you can tell it's like the same 2 people doing all the voices in the thing as well. There's like the terrible voice acting. And it's like, if it was even a little bit good, I'd understand. But it's so bad. And it's like, we've got a Disney Plus subscription. Like, watch the proper bloody film. I'm paying for this, and you're watching this crap on YouTube, and it's like, just come on, kids. Meet me halfway. This is me sound like a real grumpy old bastard now, isn't it? But kids do it to you, man. Well, Elsa, I'll tell you what, for all of the craziness and the headaches they give you, they are fantastic. It's great having kids. Like Jacob's just started reading Lord of the Rings. He's not getting well into it, he is. I mean, Bunker will tell you. They'll drive you mad. But you'd never be without them. That's a tricky one. They are, mate, and they're absolute Fruit Loops. Like Willow come up to me the other day and she basically stood in front of me and then she cracked this kind of like kung fu pose and gave me like the evil eye. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then she starts like doing the kung fu chops and kind of like changing her position and starts jumping around. And then the mad little cow starts running on the spot, like jogging like a crazy thing, like doing like punches in the air, going hey-ya, 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 hey-ya. And I'm like, she looks dead serious, but my instinct is to just crease with laughter. And when you do that, what it does is it winds them up. And when you wind them up, they get angry with you. So it's like, well, let's just figure this one out then, shall we? So you got to try and like pretend that you know, keep a serious face and treat the threat with all credibility that, you know, crazy man. What are you guys watching at the moment on screen? And so we've just seen another ghoul being made. Another... Oh, it's the face on the dead guy, isn't it? Yeah. Hey Riz, how we doing, mate? TV gadget? You mean a remote control, mate? Or you on about like, is it like a fire stick kind of thing? Is that what you mean? And then totally legitimate ones, yeah? Virgin one? Didn't know they did one. Do you know what? I've just done something wrong. Balls. I just sculpted something with completely the wrong profile. How are we doing today, Riz? You had a good weekend? So it's a weird one for me because I don't know what's going on the screen. I know I've got the video running for my Ghouls sculpt, which I did a couple of months back. So I'm doing some commission work for a client today, and I'm not allowed to show any of it. I've got to get it done, so I thought I'll stream, but I'll just stream an old stream and just chat over the top of it. But it seems to be going alright so far. No, it's my stream, but it's not a current one. It's not what I'm actually sculpting right now. So normally I'll stream in my actual desktop. So you'll see what's going on, but this is a stream from, let's say, a couple of months back when I did these Ghouls. But I've picked this one because I'm going to be doing more Ghouls this month anyway, so I've got a couple of Ghouls, a couple of Ghast to do. So it's thematic at least, so... yeah, I will be reworking on the Ghouls file, because I'm going to be using the base meshes and stuff again, and I'll do that soon. But basically this bit of client work, I've got like five files, I think it is, 5 things I've got to make for them, and it was kind of like, we discussed it just before I went away on holiday, and it was like, yeah, no worries, I can do that. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be on holiday, I'll be starting when I come back. Yep, no problem. And then when I start, I'm on the way back, it was just like, we needed them last week, and it's like, well, you just placed the order, and I've typically got like a 6-month lead time on orders, so you know, client's a very good client, so I'm boosting it up for them. making the impossible happen, but Problem is now, set a precedent with stuff like this. And then it becomes the norm, doesn't it, for the client to get the files within like a week or so, and queue jump and whatever else. So you've got to be careful doing things like that when you're doing like freelance work. It's almost like even if you can deliver early, you shouldn't. Unless the client absolutely values a rapid turnaround. Hey, yeah, how you doing? Oh, my back. My wife's got a little bit more meat on her than this ghoul. A bit less patchy hair as well, just a little bit. This one gets good. This one does, because the this is one of the more gruesome ones I did. So basically, in a minute, what you'll see is I started sculpting all like the intestines and stuff in this guy's stomach. So she basically is like tearing out. I think she's got his heart in one hand, and she's got the intestines in the other. So she's like literally just dismembering this guy on the tombstone and like devouring the corpse and stuff. It's really kind of like, you know, proper like, you know, take her home to meet your mum kind of material she is. Not every day you find a bird like that. Are we allowed to say bird? Probably not. Don't even know why I did. I don't normally say that at all. Like, it's not even part of my usual vocabulary. Oh, that's wrong. Yes, gents, I am absolutely lagging today because stupidly last night me and Hattie sat down to watch Breaking Bad. We haven't watched it in a while. What were we watching? We've been watching something that was on the telly. I can't remember what it was now. But whatever it was we were watching, it's finished. So we were kind of like, right, let's let's catch up on other stuff that we started watching. So we obviously got to about season 3 of Breaking Bad. So we're kind of in the rare situation where Hayley hasn't fallen asleep, and because she wasn't asleep, she wanted to just keep binge watching the program. We were like, all right, go. Then we get to like 2:30 in the morning. It's like the episode's finished on like a cliffhanger, and you're both kind of keen to keep going. So like, yeah. Let's just watch another one. Let's one more, and then we get to bed. Luckily, we got halfway through the episode, and Netflix crashed, so we couldn't watch any more. So we ended up going to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But then with the kids are waking us up at like 6. So we've both gone for like 3 hours sleep, and we haven't done much better over the rest of the weekend because she did a car boot sale yesterday. Because for some reason she actually enjoys that, getting up at an ungodly hour on a Sunday morning to go and stand in a field and sell your crap to other people. So that's what she loves doing Chilcon with me, because it's like a car boot but better. So we had a rubbish sleep yesterday. We had a bad sleep last night. 2 things are compounding, and I'm running on empty at the moment. Have to nip over the house in a second, go and top up my coffee. What happened? Yeah, sorry. Oh, the FEP thing. Yeah. Did you do the return and swap on it then, or? I actually had a similar conversation with a mate of mine, Adam. Adam Dodge from Pagan Minis. He called me up the weekend, and he's had a bit of what do you call it, like a hiatus from social media and stuff like that. He's ex-military, and I think he's I think, you know, there was a few little kind of health issues from his time in the military that kind of kicked in and kind of hindered him a little bit. So he's taken a step back from all of like the social media stuff, and he's kind of like he's feeling like he's in a better place now. So he's like back on the wagon and that. And he's got his 3D printer. He's pulled his Sonic Mini 4K out of storage. He bought it 3 years, like 2-3 years ago. Never actually used it. And he fired it up yesterday, and there's no light. The screen doesn't light up. So he's opened up the printer and he's had a little look. And I told him to reseat all of the cables and stuff, and he's done that. So the display on the front lights up. It goes through the motions of printing, but there's like literally nothing coming through. There's no pancake on the FEP or anything, and the LED array's not lighting up. And I said to him, I said, mate, I said, you need to return it. This is like one of these things where when you buy a new printer, you really need to fire it up straight away and check it, because you've got like that 12-month warranty period to kind of get all your stuff sorted. And obviously, unfortunately, he's left it for like 2-3 years standing, hasn't fired it up at all, and has only just realised there's an issue. So he's got two choices: either buy another one, switch them out, return the faulty one, or buy a new LED array. But the problem is, if he buys a new LED array, he doesn't know if that's the problem or not, because it could still be an issue with like the motherboard or the connections and stuff like that. So you don't want to spend the money on a new LED array and then find out that that actually wasn't the problem. So yeah, he's in a bit of a pickle with that one now. So I think it's going to be a bait and switch. Well, I think he bought it. So basically, like Pagan Miniatures, I sculpted a whole miniature range for them of like Viking type models, really nice models. They did the Kickstarter for them, and they did all the fulfillment. But basically, the fulfillment went on through the Brexit point. So, unfortunately for them, what happened was their whole campaign got hit with like load of extra costs, because they charged for shipping, got all the production and everything underway, and then Brexit happened and all the shipping rates changed. So they ended up massively out of pocket. So they were never intending on selling STL files. They were only ever going to sell the physical stuff. But then the physical stuff kind of couldn't be fulfilled without raising more money, so they had to sell the STL files for the models, which again, like I said, they didn't want to do. They wanted to keep it as a physical miniatures range, but they ended up having to do it anyway. So they've got all the product, they've got all the miniatures, but then everything kind of went a little bit not wrong necessarily, but I think because it left like a bit of a bad taste in the mouth from like the whole experience. They were kind of like, right, we need a break from this now. And at the point they were doing that, I'd had a word with them about moving away from metal manufacture and resin manufacture to 3D printing instead, because 3D printing obviously provides you with that. You don't need to pay for the molds. So I mean, I don't know if we've had a discussion about it or not, but let's have the chat now. So if you go for something like Siocast, I've had this discussion a lot with Max lately when we've been talking about kind of producing for Crystal Collapse. So you've got different production options. So you can go to China and you can have things made there, which you're gonna suffer on the quality. And for me, for miniatures, if you're doing board game pieces and you don't really care that much, fair enough. But for me, I'm doing miniatures. I spend a lot of time making the miniatures look good. I want the end product to reflect the amount of effort I've put into the sculpt. So I don't want a product that is of a lower quality than is acceptable for me. So for me, Chinese manufacturers are no-no. Unless we were specifically doing a board game where we were talking about board game components. I'll come back to that one in a bit, mate. I'll give you some leads. I might even put some up on the Discord channel. I'll ask Max to put some in when he's back off his holidays, actually. But ask that on Discord anytime, mate, because there's plenty of. Like I say, Max is well versed in that because they did nanolith, so they've done all the production with that. So yeah, so like I say, we get the lower quality from China, but you get it cheap. The problem is for like the stuff I make, because it's designed for 3D printing. To try and take stuff I've made for 3D printing and then have that manufactured in China, they have to cut the model into pieces to be moulded in plastic moulds, and then they're going to reassemble the models after the event. And if you see things like Hero Quest where they've done that, sometimes you're getting models that really aren't assembled well. So the quality can really suffer, and you don't have that same level of quality control when you're dealing with somebody in China to do the manufacturing en masse as you would if you were dealing with a smaller volume. And obviously sometimes you don't have the choice because you sold such massive quantities that you've got no choice but to go down that route. Then we looked at metal manufacturing. So with metal manufacturing, you go for a centrifugal cast. So downside is weight, so the stuff is heavy. So when you're shipping it, you're going to be shipping larger weight things, which means your shipping's going to be more expensive. You've also got one mold plane. So you've got like two halves of a mold. So they carve a cavity in both halves of the mold. That's roughly the shape of the model. They place the master model in there, and then you clamp down the two parts. They put them in a tin. The tin goes into a vulcanizer, which is applying large amounts of heat and pressure to melt the mold and conform it to the models inside. And then once it's done, you take it out and they open up the mold, and then they have to carve in the feed channels and the vents. So with metal models, you have the feed lines, you have the mold lines. You have the feed lines, you have the vent lines. But then you also have this mold line around the outside, and the more you cast with it, the more evident that mold line becomes. And you can sometimes get a little bit of mold slippage. Now also, because of the amount of pressure that's being applied, you can also get a little bit of a skew, like a little bit of deformation. So the model gets flattened out along the mold line. So something that starts out kind of like, a normal kind of thickness can end up relatively quite flat. So you have to pose the models carefully to make sure that your mold lines aren't going to go straight across the detail like a face, for example. So there's a lot of sculpting considerations. You can only deal with minimal levels of undercuts. So you've got to fill in all of those little holes and gaps. Because if you've got any areas where the rubber from the mold can actually get into a little nook, then what happens is when you remove the cast from that, it tears the rubber out. And when it tears the rubber, you've destroyed that particular mould cavity and you can't use it again. You have to remake the mould, and that obviously gets expensive then. So you have this kind of this moulding process that you've got to factor in, and you've got to sculpt for that process. You can't just throw anything into that mould. It's not going to work. So there's a very specific set of limitations that you've got to deal with when you're doing that kind of sculpting. Minimum thicknesses have to be thicker than normal as well, because of that shrinkage you're going to get. So you've got to kind of amp things up a little bit. Then you've got the like the mould wear. So let's say you get 100 spins off a mould, or whatever it is. It could be more, but let's say you get 100 spins off a mould, and then that mould's dead. Your cavities start pulling apart, and your mould lines become exaggerated. So you need to kind of then remake that mould. So say it costs you 60 quid to have a mould made. So you make 10 models, and what they do is they take the 10 models and they put the 10 models into a master mould. The master mould is run 10 times. So you get 10 master models, they clean them all up nice, and then they take those models and they put them into 10 manufacturing moulds. And those manufacturing moulds then are spun whenever you want the model. So you know, I want 200 copies of Model A. So they take the mould for Model A, they put it in a spin caster, and they spin like 200 casts of that mould, and then they put it back on the shelf. Now the problem at this point, from those 10 models you've made, you've got one production mould, and you've got 10. So you've got one master mould, you've got 10 production moulds, and then you've got to hold a stock of like a volume of stock, because unless you're making these moulds yourself, you're going to go in a queue to have the stuff done. Now, when I've gone in the queue in the past, it's been anything up to about 3 to 4 months to get a production slot, depending on your manufacturer. So you have to know in advance what you're going to need. You can't just drop it and say, guys, I need like 500 models for tomorrow. You can't do that. It's never going to happen. So you've got to be planning ahead. So things like ChillCon and UK Games Expo and Gen Con and any shows you're going to go and do, you need to make sure well ahead of time that you've got all your stock prepared and ready. You can't leave anything to the last minute. It's all got to be done ahead of time. And then you've got this pile of stock, and you've got to be confident you're going to shift it, because you don't want to be sitting on tons and tons and tons of stock for a long period of time. You've got to have just enough to kind of get rid of. So that's the problem you're going to have with metal models. Now, resin models suffer from the same problems, except you're going to get less castings off the moulds before they deteriorate. Also with resin, so the silicon that they use to make the moulds, they use room temperature vulcanizing silicon rather than the vulcanized stuff. So the vulcanizer is the apply heat and pressure, and room temperature vulcanizing, yeah, you can do it, but so let's jump onto your point there. So let's say we take these 10 models, 10 moulds, whatever. You could have those 10 models put into one mould cavity, but then let's say, for example, that you want a set of 10 models, right? That set of 10 models all being in one mould together, when you run that mould, if you get a failure on one model, you don't have a set of 10 moulds. You don't have a set of 10 models from that mould then. You're going to have 9 models, so it's not the full set of 10. So not every single model is going to come out perfect in a metal mold every single time. You know, you're going to have a good you'll have a good success rate, but you're still going to have failures. So the problem is when you have these failures, you end up under delivering, and then you have to make another mold, or you have to do extra spins to try and get the thingies done. When you do these extra spins, that deteriorates your mold again, and then you end up having to do extra production, or you end up having to make extra molds of the models that have failed, so you can run just them anyway. And then that complicates the whole like cataloguing process, because what you've got to remember again, this is not you doing the molds for the most part. Unless you've invested in all the equipment, somebody else is producing these. You need to be able to go and say to them, I need this model, this model, this model, this model 20 times over, or 100 of each, whatever. You don't want to go to them and say, I need 50 sets of this stuff, because they don't necessarily know your products, they don't know your sets. So you may have the mold numbers and stuff like that, and you can say, can you spin mold, LTM 27, can you spin that mold for me 50 times? And they'll do 50 spins for you, but then they'll put the models into the thing, and I'll be like, oh yeah, but by the way, you've got 50 spins, but 20 of the spins had certain models fail, and then you've got unsaleable stock then, or stuff you've got to do something else with. So the best thing for any kind of volume of production is the one mold at a time. But then obviously you're talking about the master model that you've got to put into that as well, because it's got to go through the centrifuge, it's got to go through the vulcanizer, has to be able to withstand the temperatures. Now when I was doing this, like the stuff I'm using for 3D printing for models that are going to the consumer, I pay £45 a litre for, and that's the frozen the frozen Aqua 4K resin. So I pay £45 a litre for that. The stuff that I was using to manufacture production masters that can be vulcanized was like, it was a dental model resin, and it was £280 a litre. So it's a massively significant increase in the manufacture cost for the masters. So then you've got the choice of, do I either print 10 masters and provide you with 10 master models to put into the production molds, and it was like, it works out about £9 a model roughly, at that kind of price as an average. So say you put a £9 master in there, but you've got to do 10 of them, so you're going to spend £90 on masters, or you do one of them and you spend £60 on the production model, on the production mold, on the master mold, sorry. So most times it's going to work out more economical to do the master mold, but then you're spending like, it could be 60, 70, £80 for the master mold, and then the same again for each of the production molds. So you end up with this kind of like this large moulding expense. The cost per unit's quite cheap. You say you spend maybe 20 pence a model or something like that on the castings, or at least that's what it was last time I did it. Probably gone up a lot since then. It's been years now. So you have this this ongoing expense of mould creation and maintenance with the metal model. Sorry. You also have the same problem with the resin models, but you've got an additional issue with the resin. So when they use room temperature vulcanizing silicon, so this one doesn't use heat and pressure. You can put any 3D printed model in this one as a master, by the way. So you can just take any old resin that you use, make sure it's properly cured, and it will work. So you put it into the mold, and they pour over liquid silicon. And there's two ways they can do this. They can either do the way where it takes longer to make, but you get more control over where the mold line goes, which is the better way of doing it, where you build a bed of plasticine, you put the model down, you build the plasticine up around the model, and then you pour the silicon over the top. When that's cured, you flip it over, you peel the plasticine off, rebed the model back into its cavity, mold release the whole thing, and then you put the next layer of silicon over the top of that, and then when you take it apart, you end up with two mold halves that fit perfectly, and you've got a perfectly controlled placed seam line around the outside. They're going to charge you more for that because it's more labour intensive, it's more time involved, more planning. So what they often do is they take like a cup, suspend the model in the cup upside down from its feet with a couple of sticks attached to a horizontal kind of like brace or whatever, hang that into the cup, pour a load of silicon straight in, fill the entire thing up. This has to be kind of a clear one so you can see the model inside. And then they'll take a scalpel and then they'll carve the mould open. And you'll get a good finish with it, but you don't necessarily have the complete control over where the mould line goes. So you can have a little bit of roughness with that kind of thing. So you just got to be a little bit you've got to be aware of your moulding limitations. With silicon molds, with resin casting, you can get away with a little bit more of an undercut than you can with metal. So it's a bit more forgiving. You can get away with a bit more of a dynamic pose because of this whole thing, but you still can't have like arms crossed over in front of the body and things. So there's certain things as well. Yeah. So the The silicon mould is made in a vacuum. So they put the silicon into a vacuum and it sucks all of the air bubbles out, which means that the surface of the mould where it contacts the model will be clean. There'll be no air bubbles in there, so you'll get a perfect moulding. But then when they put it into the casting, when they make a casting of it, the issue is that they have to use a pressure chamber then, so they have to use a pressure pot. Now this is imagine like a large stock pot with a lid. Right, so they tend to be round. There's a limit to how many models you can get in there, how many moulds you'll be able to fit into that stock pot. But you've also got to be able to get your resin in. Bear in mind the resin cures quite fast anyway. So you've got to mix your resin, you've got to pour it into the mould, you've got to get the mould into the pressure chamber, seal your pressure chamber, and then pressurise it. So you have to have a compressor, big ass compressor that is going to really kind of like ram some air into there. So once you've got that compressed fully, you have to wait for the resin to cure. Now it's a weird one because what actually happens is the pressure chamber, it's not sucking the bubbles out, it's shrinking the bubbles down. The bubbles are still there in the resin, but they're being compressed into a very, very, very small volume. So you'll still be able to paint it. It'll still come out nice. You may find if you cut open a resin model, you'll have like a very, very small, what do you call it? A small volume, a small area, a small space inside the model that might have tiny little pinprick holes. But you shouldn't have anything on the surface. They tend to get pushed inwards a little bit. But you get good quality casts out of it doing that way. Whereas if you try and just do it in ambient pressure and ambient environment or whatever, then it does obviously, you are running the risk of getting big air bubbles in the model. And I've had it before where I've tried to do a bit of home casting. And it's just not even worth it. The amount of time and effort you put into there. Hey, Lion, how you doing? Yeah, the amount of time and effort you put into making these models to get the casts and stuff done, they just aren't. They aren't great quality unless you're using the pressure chamber and the vacuum chamber and the pressure pots. But the problem is then when you go to when you go to a manufacturer and they've got like 10 pots, 10 pressure pots. They can only do as many casts at a time as they've got space for in the pots. So if you work it out, so when I first had my resin models done, I was paying like £1 a model roughly. Turned out the guys who were doing it weren't making any money on it at all because they'd just gone finger in the air. This is what we're going to charge for it based on the cost of the resin and everything else. But what they hadn't factored in was the time of the guy who was doing the work. So the guy who's making the moulds and the guy who's making the castings, you've got to factor in their actual salary, their wages. So when they're spending, an hour doing castings, you have to look at how many pots you've got, how much time it takes to do a cast, and how many casts you can get through in that amount of time. So say you pay this guy 10 quid an hour, that's an overhead that's got to go on top of the resin. So that needs to be factored in to the cost of the models. Now obviously if you've got less pressure pots, that means you can do less models, which means you've got to charge proportionally more for them. If you've got dozens of pressure pots, you're probably going to need more than one person doing it because you're not going to be able to kind of fill the pressure chamber, pressurise it and cycle them round in enough time to get the whole thing kind of like to get them all pressured up, running and curing. Do you know what I mean? So you need to kind of factor in what your physical capabilities are, because there comes a point when there's no point in getting more pressure pots. You just need to crack on with what you've got. So you've got these limitations, you've got the extra expense from that side of things, but then you've got this additional factor with the silicon stuff where the moulds just deteriorate just from being out in the air. So like they dry out and they become unusable in time. So say you might have 6 months or something like that to use a mould. So you spend all this money on these moulds, you have them all made up and stuff like that. And basically, every time you have a mould made, the first thing you want to do is run it to death, really. You know, have that mould cast to the point where it becomes unusable. And then just get as much stock out of it as you can. But then we're back to this same position we've got with the metal models, where you've got to build a massive pile of stock of everything you've got, because you can't just draw it down. It's different if you're the one doing the casting. You can just run a spin off whenever you need, but if somebody else is doing it for you, you haven't got that option, have you? So you do need to be kind of like, okay, right, so what's going on here a sec? Give me a sec, guys. So my music stopped, I just realised. So yeah, so you can't just run the moulds off whenever you want. You've got to kind of make sure that you're... Michael on Facebook, how you doing, matey? Thank you for the like. You have these, what do we call them now? Yeah, you have this stock issue, and obviously if you're a small independent, you might not have a studio or a workspace or something like that, so you end up trying to store it in your house like I did when I was first doing them. And then you end up with the wife kind of kicking your ass all the time because you've got stock everywhere, stuff. So that was what kind of pushed me to the point of kind of stopping doing resin models and moving to digital sales, because I didn't have to deal with stock. And then we come around to 3D printing as an example, as a kind of a preferred method for me. So if I have 5 10-inch 3D printers, I can probably produce in the region of about £1,000 of stock in a day, with like 2 print runs on the printers. So if I'm in a position where I'm making £1,000 worth of stock a day, I'm doing pretty well, aren't I? Do you know what I mean? I don't need to worry too much about kind of, you know, anything else. I can have an unlimited catalogue because I haven't got to hold any stock. The only stock I've got to hold is bottles of resin. And then as I print stuff, I can package it all up and I can supply it to customers. It does mean that the customers are going to be waiting a little bit longer for the products. You know, I can't just pick it from a kind of a display or a stockpile. I can't just do that. I've got to supply it to you. And I've just realised, guys, by the way, the stream is running at like double speed, which I hadn't realised. So the sculpt you're watching is not real time. I don't actually work that fast. I work quickly, but this is like extreme even for me. So so 3D printing, the cost per model isn't bad. You obviously have to buy the 3D printers. You have to factor in the cost of the consumables like the screen and the FEP. You need to also factor in the cost of the electricity for the running costs. You have to factor in the time it's going to take you to demold the models, which is why I spend so much time making. Well, there is that, yeah. But again, like I say, yeah, it's me. You know, I work quick, but this is double speed. So yeah, so we get the we have the cost of the resin, we have the cost of the isopropyl, we have the cost of the gloves, we have the cost of, like, you know, your masks if you're using them. You've got the cost of all of your consumables, plus your electric, plus paper towels and whatever, and then the time investment for removing sprues and stuff like that. Now, if you've printed my models, you'll know that they come off like no problem whatsoever. So when I do the supports on the models, my aim is to make them come off completely clean, so there's very little cleanup on them afterwards, and that means it minimises the amount of time and investment I have to put in to manufacture the products to send to customers. So when a customer places an order, I put their order on the printer, load it up, queue it up and print it. When it's done, I get them off the printer, clean them up in the isopropyl, put them off the supports, let them air dry, put them into cure, and that's it. There's no additional cleanup. There's no kind of extra faffing on my part. So they're done to streamline the manufacturing process. And other people who are supplying you with pre-supported models aren't doing that. They're not going through that same. There's not the same kind of reasoning isn't there as I've got, if that makes sense. So they're just providing you something that you can print. So you know, when I say not all supports are created equal, that's what I'm talking about. I'm doing it to create efficiencies for me, which you guys all benefit from. But at the same time, a lot of people out there are just doing it because they're expected to provide pre-supported models. So they'll just throw anything together and throw it out there. And that's not everyone. Some people are doing a good job of it. If you look at stuff supported by Table Flip Foundry, you know you're going to be onto gold there as well. But yeah, so basically the cost per model, the cost of the overheads and everything else is negligible on a 3D printed thing. It just means you've got that extra little bit delay to get the products to the customers. But as long as they know what they're expecting and they're not expecting stuff to come from stock, then that's fine. But then the more stuff you sell, you can start looking at trends. So we can start looking and see what people are buying, what do people want, what's the stuff that sells regular. And then when that stuff sells, when that stuff is like selling, you can kind of go, I'll run a few of them off and we'll keep a few in reserve. So I haven't got to hold huge amounts of stock, but I can keep a little bit to one side and that'll just save me a little bit of effort. So I do that, but I also keep a when stuff fails as part of a set, or if I get like, you know, the odd one where I've got a bit of extra space on a build plate, I'll throw a few extra models on there and then they go into like my lucky dip pot. So I have my lucky dip there, so if anybody orders a lucky dip from the site, they just get something that's out of there. It could be something that's part of a unit where I've had a couple of models fail, or it could be part of a something that's just I've squished in to fill a bit of space, or I've accidentally printed too much or something. For some reason, the other day I ended up running off a load of skeletons for an order, and then realised I didn't actually need the skeletons for the order. Don't know why. So the skeletons are all in my box now. But yeah, anybody who is thinking about going into manufacturing a miniatures range, I would really, really strongly urge you to do it using 3D printing, because it's the one method you can control yourself. You'll have complete control over it, and it's the most economical way of doing it. And the thing you've got to remember as well is anytime you're doing, cheers bunker, anytime you do a business thing and you're relying on other people to do stuff for you, cheers mate, their products, so your products are not their priority. They're your priority, but most cases these people have got their own ranges, they're dealing with their own stuff, and you're going to come second fiddle. And you need to be aware of that, and you can mitigate that by taking control of it yourself. I'm giving you guys gold here today. That's it. Bunker's a legend, isn't he? Love you, Bunker. Yeah, I didn't even ask Bunker to do this, you know, he just turned up one day and started doing it. And I was like, shit, I need this help. And it's been appreciated ever since, mate. So yeah, so let's go on to was it Riz asked the question about the most viewers. I've had a couple where I've had like 90, where I've had like rage drop in and stuff like that. But most of the time, it's like at a time. By the end of the stream, I've usually got around about 60, 70 viewers, maybe. It's a decent number, but like in a single run, like I don't tend to have that many people because I'm streaming for such a long time throughout the day. People drop in for a little bit here and there, just watch a little bit. It'd be nice to have like bigger viewing figures, but I say that's not why I'm doing this. So, although I will say it would be a nice byproduct if it kind of brought me an income of some sort, but like I don't expect that by now. Bored here? No, never. No, I love having you guys on stream. Oh, you mean the BRB screen? No, sorry, the BRB thing, because it's a past stream, isn't it? It's not what I'm doing now, so it's probably got to the point where I had to stop for a toilet break and lunch and stuff. So I'm still chatting to you, and I'll just talk over it. But unfortunately, Streamlabs doesn't give me any function to fast forward the video. So I've got no choice. I accidentally restarted the video at the beginning of the stream, so I let it run for about half an hour, 40 minutes or something like that. Switched to a different screen, and then when I went back to it, it did the cheers, Bunker. I wonder what you've done it, mate. I didn't realise it was because of the BRB screen coming on. Normally I tell you when I'm going for a break, don't I? But so today is a bit of an odd one. So bear with me being a little bit kind of atypical today. I'm still sculpting. I'm just trying to do like client bits. So. Oh, there we go. We're back off my lunch break. Fair enough, matey. Oh, you do look after her, don't you? Yeah, enough to do with you having a little hankering for a bit of egg and bacon, then, mate. Yeah, I haven't changed it, so it should still be. Why am I going slower now? If when I'm posing, it tends to take a little bit longer because it's I'm looking at stuff and it's kind of going a little bit. What's the word? The bird. Riz. Go home. Oh shit. But no, the I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, when I'm posing, sometimes I don't tend to have a preconceived idea of what I'm doing, so I'm winging it a little bit. And when I'm winging it, it takes a little bit more time to like kind of think about what I'm doing. So yeah, sometimes you see me doing something that like looks slower. Usually it's one of those thinky jobs. And I'm usually like second guessing myself about, you know, do I put it like this? Do I put it like this? I end up going backwards and forwards for ages over it and trying to figure out how to do stuff. But it's the problem with concepting dynamically in 3D when you don't have that sketch to start with. You can spend a lot of time doing jobs and then end up kind of not liking them, not keeping them. And I do that a lot, to be fair. Thank you for the heart attack, Elston. You finished a meeting or something, or have you been there lingering and lurking the whole time? So did I cover everything off on production, or did I get sidetracked and not finish the discussion? I can't even remember. I feel like I actually finished it. Fair enough, matey. So I was just giving everybody an in-depth run-through of the pros and cons of various different production methods in today's modern miniatures market. And honestly, mate, that was a seminar I should have charged for. That was like gold dust, man. the only time I would ever say to get stuff done in metal over anything else is if you're doing historical miniatures. If you're doing historical miniatures, you almost absolutely every single time want to be doing them in metal. And that's because most of your historical gamers are like old school gamers who love the metal models. And if you try and sell them resin 3D printed stuff, a lot of them are gonna like just shy away from it and not want to get involved. So it's just kind of, you got to make sure you know your audience as well. Yeah, they can do all sorts of plating on resin, but the thing is, it's not it's silver plated, so you kind of have to. You're going to end up anytime you're plating the model that you're adding layers to it and adding thickness, which means you're not going to get you're going to lose some. Sorry, you're going to lose some detail. And what people want is the weight of the metal models. So if I gave you a metal model that was resin, and let me just tell you as an example. I've got my scales here. If I get one of my footsaw miniatures, I'll find an equivalent sized model. There we go. So I've got two models in my hand. One of them is one of my guests who weighs in, including his base, at 5 grams. So he's a big boy, he is as well. So he's probably about 20% bigger than the model I'm about to weigh. The next one is from Footsaw. It's one of their Baron's War miniatures, and he weighs 17 grams. So you've got a 5 gram model. In fact, you know what? Let me find one that's actually a relative size. This one. A model that's of an equivalent size is weighing in at 2 grams. So we've got 2 grams versus 17 grams. Now, even if you take a 2 gram resin model and copper plate it and then silver plate it, it's not going to be close to 17 grams. They're not going to feel the weight in the hand, and it's the weight they want. I don't think they really care that it's metal. I think it's the weight that they want, because it's what they're used to. And you could put coins underneath, or you could put like actual weights underneath the base of the model and stuff. You're not going to get the same effect. So I think if you're going to do the historical stuff, I think the only way to do it is to do it in metal. Obviously, you do have the option of doing resin and stuff like that, but you've got to limit your audience. Limit your customer base. There are people who kind of obviously get into miniatures and will consider a what do we call it? Oops. Yeah, people will consider it, but it's one of those things where you just need to, just be aware and know your audience, and that's true of anything. Do you know what I mean? Any kind of industry thing you're doing, you should always know your audience. Make sure you know what they want. So don't just assume because they're into miniatures that everyone's got the same kind of, Right, guys, I'm gonna leave you running in the background there, but I'm just gonna pop to the loo quick and go and grab another cup of coffee. So give me a couple of minutes, and I'll be back to you shortly. Okay? In fact, I'll put you on a BRB, so this one doesn't thingy. So let me put you on a BRB properly, and I'll be back to you shortly. I've just got something to print for Hayley, and I'll be back. See you in a minute, guys. Right guys, I'm back now. Oh, you arse. That wasn't supposed to happen. Let me put you a different video on instead. I think this is on double speed still. Like I say, annoyingly, it's not saved the position on the screen. I've got to find a better way of doing this. So she's been selling a few. Ailey's been selling a few things on Vinted, so she's sent me some labels to print off, so she can get the packages done up and sent out today. It's always on Vinted lately, yeah. Come on, come on, come on! How long did I leave the intro screen on for? There we go. There you go. So I'm doing a little bit of painting on the thing, so you'll see a little bit of hand painting of models going on now. So here we go then, guys. So Reece, you were asking about production quotes and stuff. So we've actually had a production quote through for Crystal Collapse done. So this is from a company called Fabricacart. Fabricacart. It's fabrica-cart.eu. So FABRYKA-KART. And these are a games manufacturer who's actually based out in Poland, so they're not going to China with it. There's a few issues I'm seeing with the thing, but basically we're getting decks of cards done. We've got some punched out tokens, the actual playing board. We've got 52-page rulebook, dice, we've got the game box, paper, not sure what the paper is, and then another 2 decks, Oh, that's nice. Not bad price, actually. My only criticism is looking at it. They've given us the they've got the wrong dice included. So they're talking about wooden dice, blue with white dots. Now we're actually using D20, so there's definitely not going to be dots on the dice. It looks like we're going to get about six boxes per package. So yeah, be an interesting one. Guys, again, if you've got any questions about what's going on screen, just give us a shout and ask up. So as I said, it's me doing my hand painting in Zbrush. So this is just for presentation. There's no this isn't going to be exported or put out anywhere else. This was literally just so I could do a nice colour render of the model. Kind of get her to look a little bit like she's in the bottom. What's next? Wings. Bloody hell, Alston. Cheers, mate. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah, you've nailed your timing on them today. Not so frequently that I'm used to it, and just infrequently enough to lure me into a full sense of security before you land the next one. these feathers on. Oops, you didn't hear that. I forgot you weren't watching for a minute. You heard nothing about feathers? Do you know what? I know I'm moaning about doing hands, but I think one of my least favourite things to ever sculpt is feathers. Because they're unforgiving. And between you and me, I'm not even a fan of how they turned out on my rocker bows. What they present as feathers. And they paint okay, but if I was to approach them today and redo them, I think I would do them completely different. But it's another one of those odd situations, isn't it? You can't just, for miniatures, you don't want actual feathers on a model. Because actual feathers is it's going to give you headaches. Okay, I've just checked a notification that popped up on my phone, and I kind of want to watch it, but I kind of don't. I think it's going to be an abomination, because the title of it was Dorito Casserole. They're two words that just do not bloody belong together. They should never be uttered in the same sentence. Ever. How do you even make a casserole out of bloody Doritos? Eggy biscuits. You lost me there, Elston. back to YouTube Kids again now, aren't we? It's that whole, you know, do you like apples? Do you like chocolate? Actually, that's a bad example. Chocolate apples might not be too bad. Bing. Oh. See, our kids haven't really bothered with that. So, I've been spared that one to a point. Oh, I'll tell you what, you know, talking of kids' songs and things, like yesterday I was creasing, like Jacob was sitting in the house and like Willow, Hayley had gone out doing a car boot and Willow had woke up and was determined they were going to play from the minute they woke up. So we go downstairs, put the telly on for them and they wanted to like do some dancing, so we put like Cuckoo Kangaroo on. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Cuckoo Kangaroo, but like they are proper little earworms, but the songs are like nuts. So there's a song called Superheroes Unite, and the kids love doing a dance to that, and like Willow gets like proper into it, and like it's just hilarious to watch. And there's a line in the song that says, "People by day, heroes by night." And like this line kicks in, and then Jacob just looked at me. He went, "Well, they're not going to be very super if they're not getting any sleep, are they?" It's like a kid comes out with that. It's like, I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well," he said, if they're people by day and they're heroes at night, when are they sleeping? When are they sleeping?" And I'm like, "Good point, dude." Can't argue with him, can you? I'm going to have to kill the stream in a minute because I'm going to help get the kids ready because little Un's going for a sleepover at Nan's tonight. So I'm going to go and give her a big kiss and daddy cuddle before bed. Before she goes off for her sleepover. And then I might be back. A little bit later on with in the Discord chat. Yeah, Bunker, with your daughter, I bet it must be kind of like lovely at times as well, though, because like as they get older, they lose some of that childlike innocence, don't they? And like some of the things that they, you know, the way they start thinking, you see them growing up too fast, and you kind of like wishing they could stay younger. And at least you know you've still got that. And you know it brightens up your day. Oh my goodness. 3 AM finish is certainly catching up with me. Jesus Christ, mate. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's useful, mate. It's too useful for me to turn it off. Mate, I have to say it's the same for our kids, and like Willow is she changes her mind from 1 minute to the next. You never know what to buy her either. Let's do a snipping on this last thing. Send him a picture of the latest bit. Indeed, mate, your blessing and your curse all in one. You've got to admire for it too. Yeah, a little skelly rat getting a paint up. Right then guys, let's go and raid you guys out somewhere. Drop you on GM Workshop. I'm just going to send you there. Oh, you too, Bunker mate. Also, I've got to get back and carry on with some sculpts afterwards. So I'll probably, rather than jump on another stream, I will probably go and jump in the Discord chat. So if you want to come and join me there, then please do join me. And otherwise guys, I'll catch you later, taters. Adios peoples. Thanks again, and I should be back probably won't be back tomorrow, by the way. It'll be next day, so back Wednesday I think. So I'll catch up with you later people. Adios.
Thank you from the raid. We're getting ready to left, right, and center. Can we get a show?